Alright, Part 381, Subpart D, Initiating Pilot Programs. 381-400, what is a pilot program? A pilot program is a study of temporary regulatory relief on one or more of the federal motor carrier safety regulations given with the person, class of the person, subject to regulations over the person of the class. Person who intended to engage the activity would be subject to regulation. During the pilot program, the participant would be given an exemption one or more of the sections of the parts of those regulation period up to 3 years. A pilot program is intended with collecting specifically to have the evaluating alternatives to regulation and innovative approaches to safety, ensuring the safety, performance, and goal of the regulation is satisfied. The number of the participants of the pilot program must be large enough to ensure the statistically valid findings. Pilot programs must include the oversight plan to ensure the participants comply with the terms and conditions of the participation procedure to protect health and safety, study participants, and the general public. Exemption of the pilot programs may be granted only for one or more of the requirements contained in the following parts of the sections of the Federal Motor Carrier System regulations. Part 382, Controlled Substance Alcohol Use Tending. 383, Commercial Driver License Standard Requirement Penalty. 391, Qualification of Drivers. 392, Driving Commercial Motor Vehicles. Part 393, Parts Accessory necessary for safe operation. 395, Hours to serve the drivers. 396, Inspection, Repair, and Maintenance. And Part 399, Step Hold and Deck requirements. 381-405, what determines that the pilot program should be initiated? Generally, pilot programs initiated with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration with the agency that determines that there may be an effective alternative to one or more of the requirements of Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulation, but does not have sufficient research data to support the development and notes of the proposed rulemaking change of the regulation. You may request the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration initiate pilot program. However, the decision whether the purpose of the pilot program will be made at the discretion of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration required to publish a notice of Federal Register requesting public and comment with your ideas and suggestions for the pilot programs. 381-410. What do I do? What may I do? Have an idea, suggestion of a pilot program? You may send a written statement, for example, the typed handwritten with a printed letter of the Administrative Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C. 20590. You should identify the persons or class of persons who are covered with the pilot program by the pilot program's exemption. Your letter should include your name, title, mailing address, and daytime telephone number. The name of the individual's motor carrier that would be responsible for the operation of the commercial motor vehicles covered in the pilot program. If there's a motor carrier that expresses an interest in participating in the program. Principal place of business, motor carrier, street address, cities and state and zip code, U.S. identification number for the motor carrier. You should provide a written statement that presents their estimate of the potential benefits of the motor carrier industry of Federal Motor Carrier Safety to the general public with the pilot program was conducted to describe how to develop your estimates the amount of the time would need to conduct the pilot program, the time needed to complete the collection, analysis of the data. Identify the regulation from which the participants need to be exempt. Provide a recommendation reasonable number of the petition necessary to yield statistically valid findings. Provide ideas and suggestions for monitoring plans to ensure participation comply with the terms and conditions of the participants. Provide ideas and suggestions and plan to protect the health and safety, study participation, general public. Assess the safety impacts of the pilot program exemption must have. Provide requirements on how the safety measure pilot project was designed to achieve the level of safety equivalent greater than the level to satisfy that would be obtained with complying with the regulation. Your recommendation should include a copy of all the research papers, technical papers, publication of other documents. 381-415. Who should I contact with the question with the information included with the suggestion? You should contact the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration Office of the Bus and Truck Standards of the 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C. Alright, 381-420. What will the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration do after the agency receives my suggestion of a pilot program? The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration will review the suggestion for the pilot program, make the recommendation, the administrative final decision whether to propose the development of the pilot program based upon the recommendation will be made with my administrator. You will be sent with a copy of the administrative decision. The pilot program is approved. The agency will follow the administrative procedures containing the subpart E of this part. Subpart E, Administrative Procedure of the Pilot Program. 381-500. What are the general requirements the agency must satisfy with the pilot program? The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration may conduct a pilot program to evaluate alternative regulation initiative approach concerning motor carrier commercial motor vehicle to driver safety. Pilot programs may exclude exemption for the regulation listed in 381-400F of the part. Pilot programs must at the minimum include all the program elements listed in 381-505. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration will publish a detailed description of each pilot program, including the exemption to be considered with the provided notice an opportunity for the public comment before an effective date of the pilot program. 381-505. What are the minimum elements required with the pilot program? Safety measure before granting an exemption of the pilot program. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration will ensure the safety measure pilot program are designed to achieve the level of safety that is equivalent to or greater to the level of safety that would be achieved with complying with the regulations. Pilot program plan with the initiated pilot program. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration will ensure that there is a pilot program which includes the following elements: a scheduled duration of 3 years or less, specifically data collection, safety analysis plan, identify the method of comparing safety performance of motor carriers, commercial motor vehicles, drivers operating under the terms and conditions of pilot program, safety performance of motor carriers, commercial motor vehicle drivers will comply with regulation, reasonable number of participants necessary to yield a statistic valid findings, material monitoring planning to ensure the participants comply with the terms and conditions of participants in pilot program, adequate safeguards to protect the health and safety of the participants and general public, a plan to inform state of the public about the pilot program and identify the approved participants and enforcement personnel and general public. 381.510. May the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration end the pilot program before the scheduled completion date. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration immediately terminate the pilot program if there is a reason to believe the program is not achieving the level of safety least equivalent to the level of safety that would be achieved complying with the regulations. 381.515. May the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration remove the approved participants from pilot program. The administrator will immediately revoke participants in pilot program of the motor carrier's commercial motor vehicle driver for the failure to comply with the terms and conditions of the pilot program, or if continue to participate inconsistent with the goals and objectives of the safety regulations. Alright, and 381.520, what will the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration do with the result of the pilot program? In conclusion of each pilot program, Federal Motor Carrier Safety will report the Congress finding the conclusion of the program and any of the recommendations, considering appropriate, including congested amendments, laws, regulations that enhance motor carrier, commercial motor vehicle driver safety, and may improve compliance with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration regulations. Alright, subpart F, preemption of state rules, 381.600, do waiver exemption pilot programs preempt state laws and regulations. Yes, during the time period that the waiver exemption pilot program authorizes this part is in effect, that no state shall enforce any law or regulation that conflicts with or inconsistent with the waiver exemption of the pilot program with respect to a person operating under the waiver or exemption of participating in the pilot program. And that was part 381. 381. Waiver exemptions and pilot programs.